Welcome to Outside the Box.
What's up, guys? Welcome back to Outside the Box, and today we have something that we've never done before. This is probably going to be like our best video on our channel, maybe, because as you all know, I'm sure you've heard of it, nobody in the world right now has Wrapsnap. It doesn't even exist. But we looked at a picture of Wrapsnap, and he has the same body and arms as Squidlips, and the same feet as Wildtide. So what we're thinking is we'll just mash them together, paint it, make it look like Wrapsnap, and then you make your custom Wrapsnap. So we're going to try and do that.
Yeah, this is pretty cool. And we're excited to do it. I mean, we're definitely sacrificing two of our warriors and two that we really like, but we can replace them, so it's no big deal. But in this video, at least now, the first step we're going to do is we're going to take these guys apart and we're going to start to clean up Squidlip's arms because
He's got suction cups.
He's got suction cups, and Wrapsnap does not have suction cups.
Yeah, he's got thorns.
He has thorns. So we're going to go through the process of making this, and you're going to watch it as we slowly bring this character to life. It's going to be really cool. I'm excited about it. I think we're going to use some techniques and tools that can help us even make him look more like the production Wrapsnap. So with that, why don't we start taking these guys apart? All right, guys, so we are actually going to use this basically sculpting tool set to help us kind of start to disassemble some of these characters. This is for, clay modeling or sculpting with air dry clays or epoxy clays or whatever. But
and we're going to use this for the head.
And we're going to use this for the head because I think to make this look as authentic as possible, we're going to have to actually sculpt the head as close as we can to what we only have, which are pictures. But I think first what we'll do is Will is going to take
Wildtide off his base.
This flattening tool. This is a nice little flattening tool. And the thing about Wildtide is he actually comes off his... Okay, there you go. I'm going to pop it.
There you go.
So it's interesting.
Oh, this is still in there.
Oh, well, yeah, you broke that one. But his other foot was not actually really glued or attached to this peg. So this was kind of loose already. But it looks like the other side broke, which is not a big deal because
we just drill a hole into it.
Right, we can drill a hole and drill out that little piece that's in Wildtide's foot. But he is off the base and still intact. Really, we're only using the bottom section of him, right?
Yeah.
We don't really care about the top. When it comes to Squidlips, we do want to try to reuse this base, but this one's a little bit different because he really looks like he's attached to this base. So we're going to see how we can get that off. But I think the first thing we'll do is we'll pop these pins to get his torso taken apart. These are just press-in pins. They're just friction fitted in there. So you can pop them out fairly easily. The tool we're going to use, you can use a paper clip, which I've used a paper clip numerous times, but we are actually going to use... Oh, wait, Will has it. It's the other end of this tool. This sculpting tool, it is just basically a
small
metal rod or pin. We'll see if it fits in there and works, and then we'll go from there. So let's go ahead and let's get this guy taken apart. All right, so let's go ahead and we're going to take this pin and we're going to try to knock out this pin here on the back side. And let's see if we can get that thing popped out there. Well, that was actually pretty easy on that side.
Here's the pin. I'll move it over here.
Oh, yep, there he is. Okay, so we got half of them off. Let's see if we can get this other half off. That was actually a little too easy. It's kind of a little scary, but there's the other pin. Let's see if we can get it. There we go. And boom. Woo! All right, we've got our feet. Does that look like Wrapsnap? Are we starting to see Wrapsnap come together here? You've got Squidlip's arms. We got to, obviously the head's going to be the key. So what we're going to do is we're going to come in here and we're going to clean up these suction cups. We're going to get this thing as smooth as we possibly can. Let's see if that'll focus. As smooth as we possibly can before we start adding any more material to this or the thorns and making this look more like a vine structure. All right, guys, so like we said, we're going to start sanding this and getting these little suction cups off. We've got several different methods here. We've got a wood rasp that also has a flat file on the back side. These are really a universal tool if you're doing any kind of carving and stuff. They're really good at removing material, especially the wraps. Fast. The file itself, a little bit more finer, can help us get some of the, get down to the get them off really quick, I guess.
Okay. It's actually working. Like, it's kind of getting smoother.
That's cool. So we've got several different types of sandpaper here. We've got basically these are the sanding pads. These are 3M. I have medium. I have a fine and a super fine. And the super fine is, or ultra fine, I should say, is what we use at the last bit to get it really smooth. But I also got one of my orbital sanding. This is an 80 grit sandpaper. And again, this is for removing a lot of material fast. So with that, let's start sanding. It's actually sanding off very easily with this 80 grit.
Same here, like this is not that hard.
Yeah, it is really not that hard. Let's just look at this real quick. As you can see, here's the tentacles on the arm that I have not done. And here are the tentacles on the arm I have done. So you can see
a big difference.
A big difference. They're essentially gone. Now, I have not hit this with the ultrafine.
What's that?
The ultrafine is going to, it's like basically a polishing pad at that point. I mean, but we got to remove these. As you sand, you're going to get some lines in it, and it's just inevitable that they're going to be there. I mean, you could keep stepping up, and you can sand this with like 1,000, 3,000 grit paper and get it like glass. But, you know, we're going to prime this before we paint it anyway. So the primer is actually going to fill in some of the scratches and cracks within the plastic from our sanding paper. So. Got these guys sanded. They look pretty sweet. I'll zoom in so you guys can see them sanded down. The suction cups are off. The next step is we're going to cut off Squid Lip's head, remove him from the post. We're going to cut it. You can see the post, right? You can see that pink is the head and the post is the blue. But we're just going to go ahead and snip this.
Something's probably work better. Look at his head. It's smashed. Wow. Nice. So that it's turning out pretty good. So let's just stretch it out a little bit so you can like see the pen.
Taking some pieces of this to kind of start to
the ultimate
slowly
split
get this.
strike, where the guy doesn't even stay on the base when you split strike him. He just falls apart.
All right, we'll peel that off of there. Oh yeah, there it goes. Boom. I was hoping to try to save there's these pegs here on the inner side because I love.
So just snap it in.
You know, Wrapsnap is a power striker, so he is going to have this chrome red base. And
now, obviously, it's not the same health points and stuff.
It's not the same health points.
But like, hey.
But
we could probably just like get like a special thing and like wipe that off, and then maybe put some more.
I want to keep this because I don't want to have to paint a base to make it look metallic. I mean, I can, but if I can avoid having to do that, it'd be great. So we're going to try to take this off and see what happens. They hacked off a little bit of it. You can kind of see what we're working with here. So I think what I'm going to start to do is just cut away around this plastic and see if I can reveal. Okay, that is awesome. We were able to salvage this base. Obviously the power points and numbers aren't the same, but you know what? I think we can create a pretty sweet graphic to go over top of that, and we can put
vines maybe around it.
Yeah, we can do something pretty fun with that. Sweet. I mean, we were able to knock down the sand these, well, actually, I should say, we were able to take it apart.
Got the base.
Got the base out. That was probably the one thing that I was like, I don't know if we're going to be able to salvage the base.
We also got the feet. Sanded down a little bit. You just need to drill out this hole.
Need to drill out the hole for the other side of the base. That makes you feel better, so we can epoxy him to the base, and he'll be able to battle. We've got the arms cleaned up. We've sanded down and smoothed out and got all the suction cups off of here. You know, the tools we use are pretty simple tools. I mean, I used a hacksaw to cut off the base, a flat file, and some sanding paper.
And
I did use some snips. These are some smaller, you know, plastic model snips for, like, you know, plastic models that come with the, you know, all attached to this plastic framework. You can cut off the little barbs with these. Those work pretty well. This is kind of the same thing. And then we do have our sculpting tool set, which we will use to sculpt his head. Got all of our tools here to help us really refine the head and make it look great. And then the best part about it is we are creating the graphics that will go on his chest and his face, and we're going to get water slide decals to be able to put on the model, clear it, and it's going to look literally just like a production Wrapsnap. It's going to be really phenomenal, I think. So hopefully you guys think the same thing. But next step, we got to start sculpting.
All right, guys. So phase 2, using the milliput.
Yeah. Favorite part. We're going to start sculpting this guy. I've got some image references that I've found online. There's really only like 2 or 3 like pictures that I've seen. You can see it right here, but this is the one that we're going to use.
Technically, Wrapsnap does exist because the kid in that picture is real. Which means that's like the...
He's real.
That's probably the prototype, though.
It is a prototype. It does have, the base does have some markings on it. So, I mean, they went to that. Usually the prototypes don't have the graphics on the base. I think what I'll do is we have scale for the hands, and we can start sculpting some of the parts for the hands. But for the head itself, I think I'm going to have to print out some pictures 1-to-1. So I have something to reference to make sure that I don't make it too big or too little. Using the milliput, you have to knead this stuff for about 5 to 7 minutes. Get it really worked really well. And then you have a good working time. I think it's almost like, what, 2 or 3 hours? 3 to 4 hours. It will slowly start to become harder and harder to work with. But you've got a good hour, if not more,
to like work
with it. And then even when it dries, then you can sand it. You can use sculpting tools. You can use carving tools on it.
Wow.
I mean, it's really cool. So you kind of have best of both worlds. So why don't we mix up some of the milliput? Okay, so like I said before, this is a 2-part epoxy putty, so it's going to come in 2 parts. You've got 1 part, 2 part. It is white. Only cut off what you need. Once you mix these things together, they are not, I mean, they're just going to start to harden.
Keep out of the reach of children.
So why don't you go ahead and you start kneading that one, and I'm going to knead this one. We're going to knead these. We're going to let the...
We'll just knead it for about 2 minutes maybe, and then we'll knead them together and just...
when
you're kneading, don't you just really mash it and stretch it?
Mash it, stretch it, fold it over on itself. All right, so I'm going to try to match up these arms. So, Will, you said you had already kind of figured out which arm is...
So...
Oh, this? Is this arm?
Yeah, I think
Yeah. So I'm just making sure it's rotating the right direction.
That hand, I think they might actually be the same exact hand.
Oh, yeah?
Like, this hand looks a little different. I mean, it won't be that bad. Like, it's still going to look like Wrapsnap.
We're starting to get that wrapped around there. Blending it into the form itself.
It smells bad.
Get your what?
Like Akedo Warriors, like, he's go get bad foot, Mr. Splits.
In battle.
That was my favorite opening ever. Was the one where you got Mr. Splits and bad foot and fly swat.
Okay, I think, Will, I want you to help me sculpt. Let's sculpt some. Let's sculpt. You sanded this thing, man. What are you talking about? This thing looks amazing.
I want to get...
Okay, what we're going to do now is let's start making some thorns.
Ooh, I know how to make thorns.
Yeah, grab you some putty. Make you some thorns.
so cool. Alright, we're about to clamp this.
Yep, we're
Let it
gonna clamp
dry.
it. To let it dry, and I will.
Wow, it looks so good. It looks so good. So dang good. Oh my gosh, I love it, I love it, I love it, I love it, I love it.
While we have this putty, I'm gonna go ahead and set this down. I could sit here and work on this for hours, really sculpting it in, making it look nice, but this putty is gonna dry on us. We've got a little bit here, so let's go ahead and do the other arm. Guys, so we have our first layer of milliput put on there. You can see the spikes. It's rough right now, but don't you worry. We're going to sand this up and it's going to look pretty legit. We wanted to build up the thorns a little bit heavier so that we could have some room to kind of play with removing material. Same thing here, keeping these spikes pretty pronounced, but we'll sand that down and it's going to look really sweet. Just watch and see.
The next morning.
All right, everybody. So we have just given our pieces one layer of the epoxy putty.
Wow, it's sharp.
Yeah, it's pretty. I mean, it's like a rock. But what we need to do now
look at the head.
is sand this down. You hear that? The head is literally
a ball of rock.
A rock. But you know what? We're going to core it out a little bit to remove some of the weight. And we're gonna look at. We might have to build up the head a little bit more.
Yeah, the head needs to be a little. That was just the rough design.
Yeah, that was the rough design. Now we've got reference. So we might add a little bit more putty to this to build it up. But we'll start working it into the shape that we want it to be for the final head structure. We've got our base plate, like we've said. But we're gonna go ahead and we're gonna start sanding this down and getting these smoothed down.
Some of this.
You can start sanding on the head, getting that.
I think the bottom is a little too flat.
Too flat?
Yes.
Here's some sandpaper. And we're just gonna...
Starting to shape. It's too flat though, to be his head.
Yeah, look at that. So we have some reference image right here to kind of look at to help us with it.
I have no idea how we're gonna make that head.
All right, buddy. So I think what I need you to do
maybe a little
is start sanding that down a little bit.
Did you put that on? I think it's just a little too.
It needs to be taller. Do you want to build it up a little taller with some more of this?
I can try.
Do you think it needs to be a little taller?
I think it needs to be a little bit taller.
Hey, you keep saying it smells like cookies. I'm like, I'm not smelling cookies.
I'm
But...
smelling like gasoline, cookies, grandma's.
Gasoline and grandma's.
Oh, that smells like grandma's.
Guys, we, I believe, are really at the end of our sculpt here where we've got all of our parts and pieces made. We don't have the head attached yet. We're going to do that shortly. I think I got the shape down. We've got our hole drilled in the bottom. We can attach to the post, and he can split strike. But yeah, what do you think, bud? Tell me what your thoughts are.
It turned out good. I just think we need to add a few more spikes on these two.
More spikes? Maybe we need some more spikes. We can have more spikes. Those are easy. He's on his base. Fits really nicely. We drilled out the other foot. Very easy to do. He's not epoxied yet. So we will take him apart to paint him, to get at least the primer on him. And then we'll put him back together when we're ready to spray him. His final color, well, actually several colors. I think there's at least 3 colors. There's kind of a brown, a green, and his pumpkin head, which is an orange color.
Wait,
I'm looking at
brown?
a picture right here.
That's orange.
Well, if you look at the
Chest.
the guide book, the collector guide,
Yeah.
it looks brown on that picture. So I don't know. This
I
one.
think we should make it orange.
You think we should make it orange?
It makes more sense. I mean, that's like a real photo of a kid holding it. Like, the collector's guide is not always accurate.
Okay.
I've seen it on some videos.
We'll get back to that. It would save us some money, right? You got to stay tuned because the next video, we're gonna paint him, and we're gonna get him looking really nice.
Exactly like it.
We've got our graphics ordered. We've got our decals coming, custom water slide decals that we will put on him. We recreated the artwork from pictures. Did a little bit of, creative freedom with how things looked, but his face, his graphics on his chest, I think he's going to look really sweet. So you got to stay tuned for that one. But until then, we'll catch you on the next one.